Hello, everybody. We're going to be talking about cheap freight. I mean, cheap freight is something, I don't care if you're a trucking company, I don't care if you're a broker, it's something that irritates everybody. It's just a pain in the butt to work. It's something that I don't even waste my time with. And when you're talking about this job itself, a lot of it has to do with time management. So if you're going to, work a freight movement, you want to be able to give the shipper a good quote, be able to pay your truck a decent rate, and be able to make some money on it as a broker. But sometimes, especially the new guys starting out in this industry and even some of the more experienced ones, they don't know how to tell cheap freight from good freight. Well, I'm going to show you one of the ways you could do it. I'm also going to discuss what the importance of relationship building is. This job is about developing relationship with carriers and developing relationships with shippers. All right. That's how you make money as a freight broker. A lot of people think it's okay, I find a load, I find a truck, I charge the shipper more, I pay the truck less, I keep the difference. Well, in essence, that is the job. All right. But the real job, if you want to make the real money, deals with basically building that relationship so you're not caught up with 50 other guys trying to get this guy's business. All right. Well, in the first screen that we see here, this is actual freight quotes. I receive these 10 times a day from this girl. This is an actual shipper. So if you guys are starving, all right, if you're looking for shippers and you just can't find any, if you haven't watched my other YouTube videos, go ahead and take this one. It's my gift to you. All right. This is an equipment dealer in Sutherland, Virginia. It's Milam's Equipment Sales. You could see that from the email. This is their traffic manager who emails me freight quotes 4 to 5 times a day. And they move a lot of equipment. All right. You'll see that it says coming to Milam's. That means they're coming out of other places. You'll see they're coming from Brooklyn, Mississippi, Elk City, Oklahoma, Seven Valley, Pennsylvania. These are the types of equipment they have and what they're wanting to pay for a rate. All right. Then they have other pieces leaving Milam's equipment in Sutherland, Virginia, going to different places. Now, this is open top freight. Now, for those of you out there who don't have a clue on open top freight. This is not going to be run on a reefer or a dry van. This is going to be ran on, for this specific freight, most of it's going to be ran on either flatbeds, step decks, or RGNs, removable goosenecks. It's very important you know your equipment types when you are brokering freight. And this is one of the things that I teach in my classes because different equipment has different values. For instance, an RGN is not going to get the same rate as a dry van. A step deck's not going to get the same weight as a reefer. You have to know your equipment types, for what you're running because a lot of times, especially in open top freight, you're dealing with permits and things of that nature. Now, most of you might see this rate, and unless you're in the trucking industry, you can run the miles on this, and some of you might think it's a good rate, and once you do it, like for instance, I'm going to use on the top of the list here, item number 6, you're going to see a CAT 336 ELH. That's coming from Davenport, Florida to Sutherland, Virginia. All right. Now, that they're wanting to pay $2,000 for that. Now, for those of you that do not know what a CAT 336 is, that is a hydraulic excavator that weighs about 86,000 pounds, depending on the size of the tracks on the unit. It's going to have to run on a RGN, specifically an 8-axle RGN. All right. Basically, what's going to happen is that trailer gets about $7 a mile. All right. And that's on the low side, because he has to purchase permits for this load. And when you're contracting a truck, he's going to, you want to get an all in rate because you don't want these extra charges coming up on you, after the load's over, because that means with all these permits coming in, and if he uses escorts or something like that, what's going to happen is, you're going to end up making no money. Well, basically, I just miled this as I'm making this video. I miled it on my phone. It's 700 miles, and that's practical miles. That's not routed miles, because sometimes, if they're doing road construction, things like that on the interstates, they'll route these oversized loads around. And I've moved probably 300 of these excavators, that 336 itself, in my career. And well, this thing's 11 and a half foot wide. It's not really big. It's not, a lot of people would consider this heavy haul. This is baby heavy haul. All right. Well, this is 700 miles. She's wanting to pay $2,000. She's trying to get this moved out of Florida up to Virginia on a trailer that typically gets $7 a mile. All right. Now, she's wanting to pay less than $3 a mile to get this moved. This is cheap freight. Now, it's not cheap freight because I ran the miles. It's cheap freight because I know my equipment. I know, by running the miles, never going to find a truck to do this. So she's wanting to start you off at the bottom of the barrel, hoping some broker is going to beat some truck to death, to get it ran super, super cheap. But I'm going to show you the best way you could tell that this is cheap freight. Then we're going to go to screen 2, and I'll show you what we're really looking at. All right. Now, you'll see it's from Heidi Parks, Heidi at Milam Equipment Sales. It came in March 16th, 2016, today, but it's going to Heidi Parks. What she did, she has created a blind carbon copy list. You cannot see how many people she's sending this out to, whether it be trucking companies, whether it be freight brokers. You don't know how many people's on that list. Well, she actually sent me one about, 7, 8 months ago when I first started doing business with her, and there were over 175 brokers and trucks on the list. What does that mean? That means we're not going to make any money. At that point in time, I stopped trying to build a relationship. She's out for cheap, cheap, cheap. And the one thing about cheap freight is you're going to work twice as hard as a broker, twice as hard as a truck, and make least money doing it, and it has the most problems associated with it. The customers that you get good paying freight from are so easy to work with. It's all you have to do is do a good job in servicing their account, and it's awesome. All right. This stuff, I'm sorry, it's just going to be a major headache to you, but feel free to work her, as I said. Now, let's go to screen 2. This is another example of cheap freight, and this is another equipment dealer. All right. He's got his information at the bottom. If you're looking for a shipper, give Charlie a call. He's always got loads that don't pay anything. But let's just look and let's focus on that blind carbon copy list. All right. Now, we do not have a blind carbon copy list on this one. Charles actually sent it out the wrong way. All right. You'll see where he tried to attach it to a blind carbon copy list to all the brokers he sends it to, because it's named Peterson Machinery Sales. That's the name of his list. But he unfortunately sent this also to the people who are on the list individually. All right. Now let's look at all the trucking companies and all the brokers that are on this list. Just looking at this right here, there are at least 50 people he sent it to. Well, what does that mean? You're not going to make any money. Let me put it into terms that a lot of you guys might understand. All right. If you ask a girl to the dance, to the prom, and you want her to be your sweetie, your one and only, you want her to go to the prom with you, but then the rest of the football team also ask her to the prom, and she agrees to go with all 53 players. Well, guess what? You're going to go to the dance, not spend any time with her, and definitely not get any action at the end of the night. Not trying to offend anyone. It's just good old relationships. You're not going to have any relationship with her. and don't drag any stuff into that. It's just, what's the use of you going if she's going to be dancing with somebody else? Find the girl that's going to spend all the time with you because you're spending all that money, on the limo, on the corsage, on the dinner. Well, time is money to me. My time and resources are valuable. I'm not going to call old Charlie or I'm not going to call Heidi to work this freight because there's going to be nothing in it for me. In every situation, there has to be a win-win situation. I'm going to give him good service at a fair rate. I'm not going to overcharge him so I could pay my truck a fair rate of money and I could keep him moving my freight. I could keep Charlie as a customer and we move on down the road. Guys, this was an example of cheap freight. This is just yet again one of the other things that we're going to show you as America's premier freight broker training company, Transportation Training Group. Visit our website, www.freightbrokertrainer.com. www.freightbrokertrainer.com. We will show you what good freight versus cheap freight really is, as well as everything else you need to know about brokering freight to make it profitable for you, whether you want to be a freight broker or whether you're a trucking company who wants to open up a brokerage to expand your profitability. Keep an eye on our YouTube channel and enjoy our videos. Thank you.